Hello, everyone. It's me, Jennifer Zeal, and that's Lisa Boat. And we are here to discuss a combination of what happens to warrior energy when we go through the menopause. Yeah, and I'm going to do the menopause like we're from the 50s or the change. Hi, Lisa. How are you?
I am well. How are you today?
I'm doing well. So I want to get on the same page with everyone about what warrior energy is. Normally, when I say you have warrior energy, people go, uh-huh. So if you're not nodding your head, you probably don't have it. But warrior energy is feeling like you always have to fight for what you want. It's that feeling of never leaving a man down, like they're loyal to a fault. It's also that really like warrior energy can get more done in 15 minutes than most people can get done every day. And it's also about being or feeling like you're the strongest person in the room. You're the people that people always turn to for guidance and support and to lean on. And you really have a hard time asking for help, right? So Lisa and I are both warrior energy. And I'm 55, which is so funny because I've been saying, that old Saturday Night Live skit when she goes, I'm 50 and I can't.
Yeah.
Well, I go, I'm
Yeah.
55. I can't. Um, so, when we're using that energy unconsciously as a warrior, we are really fighting up with everything and everyone, first starting at home. Our lives, our business, our relationships, our internal relationships with each other. And we're always feeling like, we're just not going to get what we want because how do we get what we want when we need to keep juggling all these balls and helping all these people get what they want, right? That's all unconscious use. And then, Lisa, you drop these vast hormone changes and all of this weird stuff. And I guess I'm on some sort of algorithm, yeah, because my Facebook feed is all about
hmm
menopause.
hmm
So, let's talk about some of the things that when women are going through that kind of menopause stage, right? What are some of the things that really prevent them from receiving what they want, moving forward, having fun, growing in their business?
Ooh, that is a big question, and it lies at the intersection of two things. But before I get into that, when you talked about being the strongest person in the room, I had this real visceral memory of myself. So I was an educator for 20 years. And the last decade of my career, I was working at the board level, providing professional development. So I was in like big corporate spaces a lot. And I was picturing myself walking into that room with all my warrior energy, with all of the armor on. And when you're in that state, like as myself now, looking back on that person,
Yeah.
it is almost impossible to receive.
Right. You're still marshmallow. You're
Yes.
hard on the outside and fluffy on the inside, and the inside's going, "Oh, please, 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 please." But nobody
Yes.
can get through that fortress. It's a
Yeah.
fortress of solitude and not in a good way.
No, absolutely. Because you are protecting that soft, fluffy from everything that you imagine might be coming at it. So you put on that armor of like, I have the most information. I am the strongest person here. You can ask me any question and I will answer it. So I'm picturing myself in that role. And knowing what I know now about what happens during perimenopause and menopause, and watching myself, like the arc that my professional life went through, it is what is happening in your body is what Dr. Mary Claire Haver refers to as perichaos, which is actually my favorite sort of term to refer to it because that is what's happening. The fluctuation of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone that is fluctuating chaotically in your body makes it really hard to continue to put on that armor and walk into the rooms that way because our bodies are saying like, listen, sister,
Yeah,
you can't keep doing this.
right. And then there's that shame and that berating of oneself about, oh, I can't do this, or
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. I think one of the things or the ways I used my warrior energy younger was to really kind of mask the deep feelings of not good enough, right? Like, you know, okay, I'm going to be strong. I'm going to be, determined. I'm going to declare because I always felt not good enough. So when I had the answer or I knew the intuition, it had to come out all warrior like, and recently I had a very unique experience. I was in a group of women and I was I said something that they didn't like and then I had to explain like my warrior nature because I said it with like rah, right? And I explained something that I do with Warner. I'm like I say something with such determination that he's like, I don't know if that's true, but you said it with such fierceness that kind of like I got to go look it up because I'm kind of downing myself. And so I explained that situation and the person that I was explaining my warrior nature to, she said, "Oh, so what you're saying is you're going to be yourself and I've got to suck it up." And I went really, really small, really, really quickly. And I was like, "No, that's not what I said at all." Like, and I think in that kind of chaos state, and warriors also are fiercely strong, but they're fiercely vulnerable, right?
Mhm.
that that adds to that kind of internal chaos where you do withdraw, you do go small, and you're like, okay, I don't want to talk for the rest of my life. I'm just going to go, you know. I think most warriors don't have a thick skin.
Mhm.
And if I wasn't so or punched in the stomach at the time, I would have said more than no, that's not what I meant at all. I would have said no. And aren't we all doing that? Like,
Mhm.
right? Like, that's not about me. That's about you. Like, you can like me or not, but, and I think that's one of the fierce things that happens in warrior energy. They're like, you're going to get on my bus or you're not. And you put that raging hormones and all of that things that are happening in our body that we don't understand or we've never been told, right?
Yes.
Or we think are wrong. Um, and then we're like, okay, I'm going to attack instead of pausing, doing the internal, both on a physical level and on a metaphysical level that we need to step forward.
Absolutely. And the other thing that's happening is that the battles are starting to form on all fronts. So it's not just what's happening in your body that is happening, and it shifts your baseline energy, right, of what you're actually able to respond to. And then we have all of the other things that are happening in our world. So perhaps we're caring for aging parents, perhaps we're grieving parents that have just passed away.
Right.
We are working through different relationships with our children because they're getting older and maybe they're leaving home or they're in their late teen stages and we're negotiating those relationships. We're shifting our identity, right? Because in this North American culture, it's fertile women who are held up and lauded as the example of this is what we want to be. And so we've been in that, right? We've been in that, we've been in that, we've been in that. And suddenly we find ourselves on the outside of it. We're in a different phase of it. And so it for warriors, it feels like, well, I have this fight and I have this fight and I have this fight and I have this fight. And eventually, you can't fight all the battles,
Right.
especially with what is happening on the internal, with the internal shifts and changes that are happening in your physical body. And so there is this, like you said, there is this vulnerability that starts knocking more and more loudly, which when you're living in the warrior energy is terrifying.
Right. The unconscious of it.
Right.
Yes, totally.
Yes. Yeah. Because it's this, but this is the person I have always been, but I can't keep doing it.
It's
Or I
not
can,
working.
but
Right.
it's not gonna do it's not gonna get me anywhere, right? In my own experience, my hair started falling out. I was having anxiety attacks, like crying every day to and from work. Eventually your life becomes untenable. And the choice becomes, look, I can either choose myself or I can keep choosing to fight all these battles, but I'm that side's not going to win.
Agreed. Sorry, the dog just went. "Meow." Um, so I know what happens to move from unconscious warrior to conscious warrior, right? In a couple weeks, I'm teaching the way of the warrior and the sacred feminine, right? I know we need to go in, we need to activate that feeling of being at home, we need to shift, be more connected, feel safe, being vulnerable. Those are some quick and down and dirty tools, right?
Mhm.
And then what happens on the physical side that we could be doing to smooth that path in a bigger way for ourselves?
Yeah, it means actually giving time to yourself, which we haven't done because our job has always been taking care of everybody else. So it means moving your body in whatever way you are able to start doing that. If it is a 10-minute stretch in the morning, if it is a walk, if it is whatever you feel like you can start with. But the truth is, we want to get to a point where we are lifting heavy weights. And that is the number one way to avoid falls, fragility, and fracture as we age. And to be quite honest, it also is a really good way to channel warrior energy.
Agreed.
Because when you are lifting heavy shit, it feels
Powerful.
really powerful. Exactly.
And
Yes.
here's the thing, people will go, oh, meditate. Warrior energy needs to move in order for that energy to shift, right? So walking meditation, lifting meditation. We joined a gym about a month ago, and we were lying in bed. I was like, I'm really tired. I don't want to go to the gym, and I didn't. We went for a long walk with the dogs, and I
Mhm.
came back. I was like, oh, I feel better, right? And I think it's also reminding ourselves, wait, like what's going to be really joyful for us? Not maybe not as in like, oh my God, I gotta put up. I mean, we're like 24 degrees here, right? So it's like coat, blah
Yeah.
blah blah, right?
All the
Right?
things.
That might not be joyful in that second, but I also have to remember the joy is on the other side as well, right?
Yes.
That feeling of like, right? So this is the time where it becomes really critical for you to tune in, for you to do your coning, for you to, which is a metaphysical practice of
Mhm.
bringing all your support team partners together, to continue to do those things that feed mind, body, and spirit, nurture mind, body, and spirit. And, if you're not nurturing yourself, you're not going to be able to nurture your business, your relationships, or anything else.
Absolutely. It is the gift. Like the work I do, I call finding the magic in menopause because as a culture, we get really hung up in all of the hard things. And
Yeah,
I do not negate those. There are some very hard things and we need to face those. And it also is a time that liberates us from all of the things that have been keeping us in these boxes of expectation. So it is that gift of knowing if I want to continue to have the health span where I can give to my business, where I can take care of myself, where I can help the people around me who need it, I have to. It is an imperative. I have to take care of myself. So I have to move. I have to really look at my nutrition and make sure I'm getting protein and fiber are the two keys at
yeah,
this stage. I need to make sure that I'm sleeping, which is never really like a popular
yeah,
response in this space, especially when hormones are fluctuating and that's playing with our sleep rhythms. But it is all of these four things, they're called the four pillars, right? They're all really connected to each other. And then the last one is stress management. And that's the other one. But when we find space, so my tool that I give to people is start with one and
yeah,
start with one small action that you can take towards it. And I usually encourage people in the movement space because when you start moving your body, then your body starts to crave the nutrition that it needs.
right.
And then we sleep better. And then that allows us to manage our stress better. So even if you start with like doing 10 squats while you're brushing your teeth, That's one really manageable step that you can start taking towards that. And then there's also the pharmacological aspect of that and looking at menopause hormone therapy, which can have significant long-term positive health impacts.
Beautiful. You
Mhm.
know, I had a thought and it just went out of my head. I don't know where it went. Hmm,
It'll make its way back.
it will. Um, so how do people get in touch with you? We'll put the links in the comments, but how do people get in touch with you? How do they get more of your goodness?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at lboat, and from there, the world is your oyster. But most of the places where I'm connected are all there, and my website, liberatedmenopause.ca. That's where you can find all of my contact information. And I do work individually one-on-one with women, and I'm doing a lot of work right now with organizations and helping them create menopause empowered workplaces.
Love that.
Yeah, which is where we really can make that warrior energy menopause connection so that women can actually stay in the workplace if that is the choice that is right for them.
Right. And that's the key, the choice, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Can you give your Instagram because your mic went out a little? What is it
Oh,
again?
yeah. At lboat, Lboate.
Great. Yay. And you know all where to find me. I'll put those links down below at soullanguage.us. I will be teaching the way of the warrior and sacred feminine, so that information is coming out soon. So sign up for my newsletter. And if you have any questions for us, don't hesitate to post or look us up. Lisa, as always, a pleasure speaking with you.
And you as well.
All
Thank
right,
you.
everyone. Bye for now.